Hi.
Hello. All right, let's see. Where does a fish keep its money?
I don't know.
In the riverbank.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
I knew it's. I knew it. I thought it was.
All right, we'll come up with another one later. All right, let's see. And then I'll turn off everybody's mics for the moment. So I'll open up if I've got questions, and let's go ahead and share. What do we got here? We got our launch screen for. Let's see, let's move this down. We'll come over here, and we'll come up here, and we'll go to present mode. Let's see. All right, where's my present mode? I'm looking. All right, view, here we are. Ta-da. All right, so today, as I mentioned in the little post, we're talking about our feelings, and I know that I've been kind of up and down. It kind of depends if I'm tuning into the news or not. So we all know that the news has been running 24/7, and what's going on right now has kept us all out of school. So right now it's just spring break, but I'm coming in here to just keep connected with everybody on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and build this opportunity for people to have some place to go at 8:30 in the morning every Tuesday and Thursday, build in a little structure. So it always feels good when we can get back to some sense of normal when things are kind of crazy like they are right now in the world. And this is how I'm feeling right now because it's 8:30 on a Tuesday and I get to connect with the community. So that's one of our little guys here. And then we got our yellow guy. I cut and pasted the wrong yellow guy, didn't I, guys? So he usually has this sideways face. We'll have some more slides with him on there. And then we also can be feeling pretty grumpy. And I know when we look at the news and we look at what's happening and we get these reports, we can definitely be feeling pretty scared. I've felt a mixture of emotions. I've probably felt all three of these and maybe many more. And we'll talk about why I've got these three as the big focus. So yeah, how are you? And then I've devised a system. Let's move this over a little bit. I've devised a system that I've taught everybody at school how to use, and this is the system. It's a little traffic light, and oh, we got to say hi to Luna this time. Luna's not very excited to say hi, as you can see, but she jumped up here, so she was in for it. She had to say hello. All right, so come back to this screen in a little bit too, but all these little guys fit on a traffic light. Oops. All right, and the way this came about is I was trying to figure out on a scale of 1 to 10 how kids were doing for a while, and it just became kind of a mess because everybody had different reasons. Nobody understood the number system. It just was too confusing. So what I discovered is there was about 3 different sections. People could either handle it maybe 1 to 6 all by themselves. They could come to Mr. D, the counselor, if it was a higher than an 8 of stress and the stress was really, really high and they felt really, really bad. But there's kind of something in between too that I just didn't know what was supposed to fit in there. And let's see. And so our feelings, what I decided is our feelings could be done on a chart and we can watch our feelings go from this little happy place. We could see our little guy down here. I think I can annotate here. And I've got the pointer. So this down here, we have a little smiley face guy. And then the stress gets worse over time. And then it can get all the way to the point where kids come and talk to me because they're at school feeling really stressed or there's something going on in life. And then the idea is once they do talk to me, we come back down. And on the left-hand side here, this is as I was really beginning to create this idea. I don't even remember what I wrote here. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. But mom and dad and family members and friends usually became the people that helped out in the middle. And then the very, very top part, when we're feeling super sad, that's where I come in. All right, so let's see. Look at all these different pointers. Red pointer. I kind of like that red pointer. That's kind of cool. All right, so we'll go to our next slide. So Sally came up with these little characters, Momo, Slow-Mo, and Stress Mess. So these guys are pretty awesome because she drew them. I think she was maybe, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years old when she drew these guys for me. So we got one happy guy, we got one sad little gal, and then we've got Stress Mess. So this is how this evolved before I turned it into a traffic light, is just these 3 little characters. And then the movie Inside Out came out, and that was really cool because Inside Out put out this movie that everybody got to see, and they made these characters out of our emotions on the inside. So I thought that was really cool that they were able to create a whole movie with the feelings having their own character. And it was right after I created this idea myself of having these characters for our feelings and just reducing it to 3. They've got a few extra characters in Inside Out, but maybe Momo would be like joy, and Slow-Mo might be a little bit like sadness, or it could be maybe like fear. And then Stress Mess is like anger. And he got the more grumpy face later on, and she got the more flat face, because I just was trying to reduce this down to a way where kids could be really, really clear about what to do about their feelings. You know, when we hear the news and we get sad and frustrated and worried and scared, I know I have, then we start to wonder, well, what do I do about it? And how do I deal with these feelings? So this is where I think it's super, super helpful just to reduce it down to 3 different feelings. And we'll talk about the reason why. And that's because it allows us to know what to do. So my first chart was with this no traffic light. We got healthy stress. That actually is a healthy thing. We can have some healthy stress. We don't want to be way down at the bottom, just having life be boring all along the bottom here with nothing going on. This stress is actually called eustress. So we can be in distress, which is the more intense kind of stress, or we can have eustress, and this eustress is something that's kind of okay. So we see this guy bouncing around in the green. He's back to the green, and it's kind of normal, I think, to bounce around a little bit. I know our kids are up and down. I know I'm up and down, depending on what's going on. And right now we could see the yellow rising up and up and up and up and up. And what we want to do is turn that down. And then the red, if it's hanging out there, that's really not healthy. We really want to be, aware and more cautious of people who are suffering day after day after day after day. So if this is going on over time, this is definitely where somebody should probably even go beyond Mr. D and get some extra help outside of school. We're all outside of school right now, but maybe some extra counseling and turn that all the way back down. So this is where somebody needs some very deep help. All right, so let's take a quick break and pause for another joke here. Let me find a good one. You guys can open up your mics because you're probably going to be rolling on the floor with laughter again. All right. Oh, we're going to do another fish one. You guys ready for a fish joke?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. What part of a fish weighs the most?
A trout?
It's scales, not what type of fish, what part. So it's scales weigh the most. Get it? You weigh on scales? You want?
Took a second.
It took a second. All right. I probably am not going to make it in comedy, but that's all right. The dad jokes are fun. All right, so there's our little people, and then it became a traffic light. So this is our interstate traffic light. So we travel in our cars in the interstate with a T in there. And what I've created is the interstate traffic light, because just like we're in the cars on the intersections, we want to know exactly what to do. And we also want to make sure everybody else knows exactly what to do. So for feeling fine, that means whatever stress that we're handling, that healthy stress I talked about, or the eustress, we're handling it. We've got our own coping skills, and those feelings, we're able to just deal with them all by ourselves. And, even parents can be overly cautious sometimes, and they might actually be worried when kids are actually dealing with something they can handle. And then in this yellow level, we are going to have to rely on our family and friends, somebody we really trust, and it's an everyday person. And then finally up here, we need to do something again. And the to do here is to go see Mr. D if you're at school, or to get somebody that's helping you outside of school. So this many emojis is not really helpful. Sometimes if we're trying to figure out what to do, that's why I've reduced it down to 3. Because however we're feeling, we need to know what to do. Maybe it's time to turn off the news and like not watch it on your phone, not watch it on TV, and just take a break, go outside if we're still able to go outside. Each time everything changes around here, I think everybody's got a new little hit of grief. You know, we're grieving that we can't go to school and see each other. We're grieving that we can't go outside if they shut that off. So it's a little bit sad. So when we have too many emotions, though, they're fun for expressing ourselves and showing all the different ways that we can express ourselves. But then it comes back down to just, there's 3 things to do. If you're feeling great, keep using your skills. You're doing fine. And we'll find on the playground a lot, kids will come up and they're having a disagreement, or it's something small that's not, they're not able to handle it on their own anymore. No, now he's got a nose. They're not able to handle it on their own anymore. So it gets up to this yellow level. And we got to talk this out with one of our friends on the playground, or somebody that's going to help us deal with it, just maybe outside of the issue. So if we're fighting about who's got, you know, the next turn on the swing, we might have somebody count with us. We might have somebody else say, yeah, you know what, you've had your 20 swings back and forth, it's time to get off. So we've got to work those things out. We can't just go running up to the person in orange and say, hey, you know, they're not getting off the swing. We can deal with some of those medium level things ourselves, and those conflicts that we have with others. And then finally, you can't see this guy's nose. If we're really up here in this red level at school, we got to get help from an adult. We do have to go talk to somebody and say, hey, I think I need to talk to Mr. Dreyer. You know, we'll see kids with tears in the hallway, or something's really, really bothering them from something that happened at school or outside of school. So it's time to go let your teacher know, or get help from one of the adults. So it's really a simple system if we break it down like we do at the intersection on the roads. And if there's just 3 different type of feelings, then we know how to handle them. All right, so let me just reduce this thing here. All right, so this, let's show some examples. Let me see if I can annotate on here. There we go, with some drawings. All right, so if we go from here, let's say it's back in the early part of the school year. So we've got this set up by days. We can go from today backwards. But if today we're kind of feeling, you know, maybe it's not too bad. We're kind of feeling like right in here. And yesterday it was a little bit more stressful because we watched some news or something like that. And then the day before that, maybe it wasn't so bad. But maybe the last few days, maybe even if we used a week on here, let me put text up here. Let's do the beginning of the school year, September. So we'll do September, and over here we'll do January, and then over here we'll do now. All right, so if we go from now to January back to September at the beginning of the year, maybe we erase these guys, and we really see maybe a progression from, let's see, let's do some, what's another thing we could do? We use these little stamps. So we'll go from, here's September, we're all excited about school. And then maybe here's January, everything's pretty much fine. And then now, you know, we definitely are even, let's say right here, but I think the whole world got to like right there. Everybody in the whole planet. So if we connect the dots here, throughout this school year, we have this school year where suddenly things, oops, erase. We suddenly had everything go to a place where everybody was very nervous about things. And then now we're sort of getting used to how things are, but maybe we're not in the green right now. And the idea here is this middle part is where we're helping each other out. We want to help each other out in our everyday lives and not have to be in a place where we need this professional input if we can help it. But really the whole world got up to this place where things were pretty scary and we had to make lots of changes. We had to do lots of decisions, and not just because we're sad, but also because there was basically an emergency for the whole wide world. And so with it all going up to there, we had to figure out a way to turn it around, and we're doing things that we know are going to be taking control as best we can. So it's a scary time, and there's things we can control and there's things we can't control. So we can control not going to school, being in the house more, going out less, not congregating with lots of people. So there's so many different things that we realize can be helpful right now. And so we can do those things. And maybe right now we're kind of hovering at a higher than normal stress level, which means, you know, we've got some chemicals inside of us that that make us feel a little bit different and make our thinking not be as good. So this is the kind of scenario that's played out inside of all of us. So this is really just about everybody's basic chart here. So let me go back to my little pointer. All right, so we've all gone up and now we've all come back down. And we all have to keep an eye on each other from this standpoint of just like who needs help, just like who's feeling super sad or super angry or super upset, and be a little bit more understanding. And one of the things I talked to a few classes about on that very last day is taking a deep breath. So I've been talking a lot. I probably need a deep breath. So let me open up the mic and see if there's any questions from anybody, or you also have the ability to type in the Q&A. So it doesn't look like there's anything in that Q&A section.
Yeah, we're unmuted.
All right, so if you guys want to open up your mic, you can do that.
Karen, do you have any questions?
No.
You guys have any questions right now?
No.
No. All right, so how about one more joke? You ready for one more joke?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Got a good one. No more fish jokes. All right, how about, oh, here's a good one. What do you use to cut the ocean?
I don't know.
What?
A seesaw.
A seesaw.
A seesaw, that's how you cut the ocean. What happened here? Looks like I shifted my whole thing over here too. What happened to my presentation? All right, let's go back. Forward. Oh my goodness. Let me get rid of all my writing here. Looks like my writing stays on all the pages. You guys watching all the stuff disappear? All right, so, all right, you guys can mute yourselves or speak, leave it open if you like. So let's go to the next slide. I think it shut off. Looks like the slideshow shut off. Let's see here. Are you all seeing the slideshow still? With my little red guys floating around?
Yeah.
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 Awesome, okay. So let's see, here's the next slide. So on the left-hand side of that chart, when we zoom in, we all can figure out what we show that tells everybody else around us that we're either in the green, the yellow, or the red. So one of the signs of stress I show, I think, is I know my own breathing gets a little bit more shallow. So let's come back to that breathing idea. So that's one thing. As I start breathing really short, my chest starts to feel a little bit tight. When I feel a little bit of stress, and breathing down here is something we can do all by ourselves. So if I come back to the text, we can breathe. And that would be actually, let me delete this. Let's go over here to sources of support. Let's go back to the mouse. go back to text. This breath would be here. Breathe. So it belongs right there. So if I'm showing a sign of stress, like chest is tight, then I'm going to breathe. All right, so the source of stress, I think the source of stress for everybody right now is like this underlying big issue in the world going on with the coronavirus. And so that's one of the sources. And it's really disrupted our whole routines. That's why it's nice to show up with you guys on a Tuesday and a Thursday to fix those routines. So when we have a source of support, which is ourselves, we can just do something like breathe. And so let's all try that. Just one nice deep breath in on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3, and then breathe out. That's something we all have all the time. So anytime we're at the green level or any level that we're at, honestly, we can always do the lower level helpful things. So if we've got a source of support like reading, listening to music, or taking a breath, things that we can do by ourselves, we can keep doing those things when we have a higher stress level. So maybe at this higher level, I might start to, maybe I say something not nice. So it's harder to think of nice things to say. Say, not nice things. All right, so maybe I normally am able to be super on top of what I say and make everybody feel good. That's my favorite thing to do as a counselor and just as a dad and person, is to say nice things that make people feel good and be uplifting. And sometimes if my stress is getting worse, I might get into a conflict. So right here in this middle level, where's our little red? Like that red one. If we're at this middle level, it means we might have a conflict with somebody, whether that's on the playground and we're arguing about who's going to get off the swing or tetherball or getting out in Foursquare or knockout, whatever it is. Sometimes kids also start to say things that aren't very nice. And the source of stress might just because people aren't following the rules. And then the source of support is ourselves. Like at this level, we might just be able to work this out. If it's somebody that we really don't get along with very easily, that's where it might be a little bit tougher. And we just got to take a break. So we got breath. Let's do 3 easy things here today. Just take a break. It's not working out with that person, but we might make the situation better by just taking a break. All right, the source of stress might be, let's say, rules. Broken. So the rules are broken, and that makes everybody have a hard time of getting along and figuring it out. And then if you don't have somebody that you can easily get along with nicely and work things out, you might just need to take a break. All right, finally, if I look at the signs of stress, I mean, these are tears. I've had tears. We've all had tears in life. And so we might have some tears flowing when we're really at this red zone and we're really upset. And now we're really might be hyperventilating and really having a hard time breathing because we're just so upset. And so this source of stress could be a, let's just call it a bigger problem. Problem so big we have a hard time handling it on our own. And then this is where some kind of pro, some kind of professional or grown up, if you're a kid, is just find an adult, somebody you trust that can help you out with these really, really big problems. And it could start with a breath. It could start with taking some kind of a break from whatever you were doing. I would say if it's your parents, a hug can help. And then you've really got to get some extra help if it's really not getting solved. So if we can't solve these bigger problems, and we can't, there's some problems that are too big for parents. There's some problems that are too big for kids, and we need to go get that extra level of help. Hopefully that all makes sense. And I think I've got to erase all these drawings before we go on to the next one because they'll stay there. All right, so we'll go to the next one. So this is a problem. I'll open up and see what you guys think, what's the problem with this one? Does anybody have an idea? If you've got an idea of what the problem is with this traffic light for your interstate, what's wrong with green at all level and happy at all level? All right, so Tori's got her hand up, or somebody in the family. What do you guys think? What's the problem with this one?
I don't know.
Anybody got any ideas? What if the lights were always green in every direction at the intersection when we're driving? What would be the problem with that?
Everyone would crash.
That's right, everybody would crash. And this is a situation too where kids could crash. Like if we don't have somebody trying to be real and honest, and they're not being real honest when there's a really, really big problem, that's where, that scares grown-ups, right? Grown-ups. So we want to make sure our kids are being honest with us about how they're feeling so that they're not hiding their feelings. It's important to talk about the feelings, share the feelings, and if we're showing signs, that's helpful. But if we're not showing the signs and we're trying to hide it, that's a problem. So that's where parents will get worried, is if our kids or even our fellow grown-up friends and family are not showing their emotions. It worries us because we know that every once in a while we need to share our feelings. And one of the tricks for this, if you're wondering why somebody's happy all the time, maybe it's just because they're in a great mood. And I know that I love to be positive as much as possible and happy as much as possible. But if you want to have a question, I had this 9th grade student come up with a great idea of how to have a real conversation with a friend. And so in the hallway, they might just pass and say, hey, what's up, and move on. But if you're really giving this open door for somebody to talk to, kind of at that middle level, oh, we lost something. What happened? Oh, here's my little Instagram and the kitties. Hang on a second. There we go. All right, so if we have a friend that's in the middle level and we're worried about them, or maybe we just want to check in, his secret question was, how are you really doing? So if we're just asking how we're doing and moving on and not very serious, we maybe don't open up a good conversation. But parents, that could be a little code for your kids too, to just, or even your friends and family who are grown-ups, is just, how are you really doing? Hey, I've got an extra 15 minutes or 20 minutes. I got time to take out for you right now. And I'm just wondering if you're really feeling, as good as you are. I've got a sneaking suspicion that I just needed to ask you that, how are you really doing? And they might say, I'm fine. And it might be believable and it might not, but at least it opens that door to now they can share their real emotions with you. All right, let's go to the next one. Or not. Let's try this again. There we go. All right, so the problem with this one, what's the problem with this one? Anybody got any ideas for this one? If you want to open up your mic. What if it was just always feeling like this? Or maybe the parents. What if your parents, you could be at the green and they're super worried and scared. You could be at the yellow and they're really, really scared. And then obviously the parents should be concerned and cautious and alert if you're actually at this level. But if you're only in the yellow or only in the green, what are some of the problems people could think of with this one? Does anybody have any ideas?
Everyone would stop.
Everyone would stop. Yep. Everyone would stop. That's right. What's the problem with that?
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah. What if we stopped playing tetherball? We stopped playing foursquare. We stopped playing knockout. We stopped everything because they all got to wait in line to talk to Mr. Dryer to work out little issues that they could work out by themselves, right? Nobody'd be playing on the playground. Or what if everything's totally great and you got a super, super worried parent? I know I've been that way as a parent before. I'm not sure how my kid's doing. I'm a little bit nervous. So that would make me as a parent feel very, very nervous. And then there's a term for that. They call it helicopter parenting. I think on my Instagram, there's actually a post on that. Lawnmower parenting, helicopter parenting. Where's the little helicopter one? I think I got a helicopter one in here somewhere. Yeah, helicopter. Helping teens like a helicopter. There's a term for that. The lawnmower or the helicopter parent. The lawnmower just makes all of the little problems go away too fast before kids can even try and work them out. And then the helicopter parents, just always thinking things are very bad, even though they might just be middle level or lower. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Why do we keep jumping over there? We'll fix that. All right, so that comes back to the whole chart then. So over here, we can show the different stresses. Sometimes the day can go like this. I'm sure middle school is a little bit more like this. If I think about middle school, it's all over the place. But when we see these patterns happen, we want to make sure it comes back down. And if it's way up here, we really want to definitely get some professional help from a grown-up and somebody who actually does counseling or therapy for a living. And then when we're down here, this is the time when kids are bouncing around and dealing with stuff. Siblings, you know, we're going to talk about that next, is how siblings can work out their conflicts when it gets up in here. So we'll talk about how to do the yellow zone solution. And let's see, what else? So, oh, that's it. So thanks for joining today. I can do one more joke to finish off if you guys want. And we'll meet Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30. The link stays the same. So the same link that you got in today will work on Thursday. And I'm thinking I will try as much as I can to make it work for all grade levels. All right, here we go. All right, let's see. Here, let's see. This one's not good. I gotta get some better jokes here. Oh yeah, we had our cat in here again. What do you call it when a cat stops?
What?
I don't know.
A pause. AWS. So remember to take a pause too and take a deep breath. We always have that solution. You know, we think about our sources of support. We always have a nice deep breath. We always can take a break. If we can't think of anything to do, we always can take a break from our brothers or sisters. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you all showing up today. Hopefully that was helpful and served you well. Does anybody have any last questions on anything at all?
No.
No.
Good.
Awesome. Well, thank you all
I
for
don't have
tuning in
it.
today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.